No, this is okay news, but not the greatest news that you're going to hear. But U.S. job growth has slowed. Nearly 4 million Americans permanently are still unemployed. Coming out of Washington, U.S. unemployment growth slowed more than expected in September, and over 300,000 Americans still have job loss permanently, dealing up potentially below the Fat Ash 45 ahead of the fiercely contested November 3rd election. The Labor Department's closely watched employment report on Friday underscored an urgent need for additional fiscal stimulus to aid the economy's recovery from a recession triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. The slowdown in hiring compounds problems for Fat Ash 45, who announced overnight that he had tested positive for the coronavirus, which is hysterical, by the way. But just over half of the 22.2 million people that lost their jobs um, during the pandemic have recouped. Um, well, actually, for the 22 million jobs that were lost, yet former Vice President Joe Biden, the Democratic Party nominee, blames the economic turmoil on Fat Ash 45 and the White House's handling of the pandemic, which has killed more than 209,000 people and affected over 7 million people in the nation. The job report adds to Fat Ash 45's woes, said James Knightley, who's the chief international economist at ING in New York. Betting odds the betting odds signal a diminished chance diminished chance that he will win re-election, a much higher probability of a Democrat clean sweep. Non-farm payrolls increased by 661,000 jobs last month, which is the smallest gain since the jobs recovery started in May. After advancing 1.489 million in August, every sector added jobs with the exception of government, which the government had shed 216,000 positions because of the departure of temporary workers that were hired for the census and layoffs at the state and local government education departments, as many school districts shift to online learning. Employment in the leisure and hospitality sector increased by 318,000 jobs, accounting for nearly half of the gain in non-farm employment. Payrolls are 10.7 million below their pre-pandemic level, and the economists polled by Reuters had forecasted 850,000 jobs that were created in September, but the unemployment growth peaked in June when payrolls jumped by a record of 4.781 million jobs. The unemployment rate fell to about 7.9% in September, as 695,000 people left the labor force from an 8.4% unemployment rate in August. The jobless rate was again biased down by people misclarifying themselves as being employed, but they were absent from work. Without this error, the government estimated that the unemployment rate would still be about 8.3%, sorry. There were 3.8 million people who had lost their jobs for good, up 345,000 from August. There were experienced long bouts of unemployment, with the number of people that are out of work for more than 27 weeks have surged to 781,000 to 2.4 million. The slowing labor market recovery is the strongest sign yet that the economy has shifted into a lower gear heading into the fourth quarter. Growth got a boost over the summer from fiscal stimulus, and the third quarter gross domestic product growth estimates are topping a 32% annualized rate, which would reverse a historic 31.4% pace of contraction in the April through June quarter. The growth estimates for the fourth quarter have been cut to around a 2.5 rate from above a 10% pace. The virus is in the driver's seat and controlling the speed of the recovery, and right now the economy is in the slow lane unless Congress and the White House considered the differences and provided another stimulus check, said Chris Rupke, who's the chief economist at FG in New York. Stocks on Wall Street fell, the dollar rose against a basket of currencies, and the U.S. Treasury prices were lower. But the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives on Thursday had approved a $2.2 trillion rescue package, which was objected from top Republicans that are likely to doom the plan in the Senate. The new coronavirus cases are rising, with the surge expected in the fall, which could lead to some restrictions being imposed on businesses in the service sector. Fat-ass 25's positive coronavirus test added to political uncertainty that could extend beyond the election and make businesses cautious about hiring. And Walt Disney Company said this week that they would lay off roughly 28,000 employees in its theme park divisions. American Airlines and United Airlines, two of the largest U.S. carriers, said that they were furloughing more than 32,000 workers on Thursday, which is absent government assistance, with many enduring long spells of joblessness. Economists believe that the unemployment rate will not see its pre-crisis level of 3.5% until mid-2024, and it could take a year to regain those lost jobs. And this could further widen the income inequality gap. The COVID-19 crisis has disproportionately affected the lower-income population and women who have dropped out of the labor force to look after their children. The labor force participation rate, or the proportion of working age Americans who have a job or they are looking for one, fell to 61.4% from 61.7% in August. The participation rate for women dropped to 55.6%, which was it was at 56.1% before, but it dropped to 55.6%. It was a little change for men. It may very well be the case that more homeschooling is putting incremental downward pressure on the labor force participation rate, which fell meaningfully more in September for women, said Robert Rosner, who's an economist at Morgan Stanley in New York. Though people worked more hours, a proxy for take-home wages declined on a year-on-year basis for a sixth straight month, and this, along with the reduced fiscal support, will temper the consumer spending in the coming months, said Kathy Bostronic, who's a chief U.S. Financial economist at Oxford Economics in New York. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Rand Van Wyck, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.